So step one of the creative process is ask, and you can't stop doing that all day, every day. Life just causes that to happen. So you've been putting things in your vortex without even knowing you're doing it, just by being alive in this body, moving through life, moving through space and time with others around you. Step two is, since you've created this vortex, and since source, your inner being, is standing right in the middle of it, everything that you've asked for, your inner being has already vibrationally become. All of the things that you've been asking for, a part of you stands as the culmination of already. Not too satisfying for you, however, because it's a vibrational reality that you have to tune into. Just like tuning your radio tuner to the frequency of what's being broadcast. If you don't have your tuner set to the station that you want to hear, then you're not going to hear it. It is not different from that. In fact, it's exactly the same as that. It's vibrational. And so here's this broadcast of you, all of the abundance, all of the well-being, all of the clarity, all of the deliberateness being broadcast to you all day, every day. But you have to do step three, which is adjust your tuner to that frequency. And over time, we've called that being in the state of allowing yourself to receive. We've called it being in the receiving mode, which means tune to the frequency so that you can hear. And today what we're wanting to say to you is that step three, what it really is being in a vibrational frequency where what your inner being knows, you know too. The state of allowing. The state of allowing yourself to be. Jerry always wanted to put all of our books in the bookstores with a label that said self-help from your total self. So it's that total self that we want you to be aware of, that whole of you, that inner being you. But we don't want it to be the inner being only. We want it to be the inner being that you let out, the inner being that you let out into your world, the inner being that comes out of your mouth, the inner being that is your wisdom. In other words, it's a blending of who you really are. And we want to say to you finally, and then we'll open it for whatever you want to talk about, that the only thing that ever causes you at any time to ever not feel good about anything, the only time that you ever feel fear or depression or anger or even frustration or disappointment, the only time that you ever feel that, the only reason that you ever feel that is because you are not in that receiving mode, and you are therefore not allowing yourself to receive the fullness of what you've asked for. And you know, if your life hadn't caused you to ask for it, then you're not letting yourself receive it. Wouldn't bother you. But that's not the case. Your life did cause you to ask for it, and now you've got no choice if you want to feel good other than to let it in. It's time for you to get in the receiving mode. It's time for you to live the purpose of what you came to live. It's time for you to be who you really are. It's time for you to get tuned in, tapped in, turned on. It's time for you to begin receiving the flow, the stream of conscious awareness about you into your world. It's time for that. Don't you think it's time for that? Don't you think it's time for that? Don't you think it's time? Not only is it time, but it's time for it to be a consistent thing. Step three feels wonderful, but you know what step four is? Step four is mastering that. Step four is caring about how you feel. Step four is recognizing the importance of how you feel and knowing how you feel, what how you feel means. Knowing that when you feel elation, that you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And knowing that when you feel anger, that you're not. And the mastery of that includes understanding that the thing that you're looking at, the thing that you are having a knee-jerk response to, is not the problem. The problem is that you're looking at that thing that's making you feel like that. And you say, Abraham, it's my kid. Do you really want me to turn the other cheek? Yes. Not only does your kid want that, we want that for all of you. Why look at what makes you feel a way that your inner being does not feel? And you say, oh, Abraham, we have to face reality, and you should too. And we say, you are not a facer of reality. You are a creator of reality. But when you face reality, you create a reality just like the reality that you're facing. If you'd like the reality that you're facing to be different, then you've got to stop looking at the reality that you're looking at. Because when you look at the reality that you're looking at, you're offering a vibration, and law of attraction is responding to the vibration, and you're creating more of the reality that you don't like, that you don't want to create. So every time you feel negative emotion, that's what that means. You're looking at and therefore continuing a reality that you don't want to look at or continue. So stop it. We are eager to talk with you about anything that matters to you. It is our desire to help you find the receiving mode for what you are wanting. It is our desire that today it becomes very clear to you how you could be talking about a subject and believing that you are affirming what you do want, when in reality you are affirming the absence of what you really want. We want to show you how subtle it is, how a subject is really two subjects. We want to show you how to find the frequency of the subject that matters to you and how to hone yourself into that frequency. And then, most important, we want you to experience the full conscious awareness of watching the entire universe cooperate with your desire. Once you, these are the operative words, once you, this is the thing that we want you to hear more than anything ever in your entire life. Drum roll, please. Once you become a vibrational match to your own reality. In other words, you've got to become a vibrational match to your own reality. You just do. What do you want to talk about? This is who you are, isn't it? It's going to be a very good day. All right, we've got you. A lot of trouble in this room.
I didn't expect this, but then again I did.
That's what we've been talking about. You have things that you desire that sometimes you can't even identify in that way.
It's just a second ago I said, I'm going to be the first person up there.
Really? So that means you were in the receiving mode, and that's why you light it up. Yeah. That really matters. You know, when that thought occurs to you, that thought that he just said that he just thought, you know, that happens to you all the time, doesn't it? When that thought occurs, that means that vibration is beginning to turn to the thing that you want. And when it comes into your conscious realization, that matters a lot. That means so much. You just witnessed that. You just witnessed something that occurred to him that manifested in the moment that it occurred to him. That's big.
I knew without a doubt. It just was like, I'm just
without a doubt. Those are really good words. I knew without a doubt. Doubt is resistance, isn't it? I knew because there was no doubt.
So I got a big curiosity about space and how big it is. You know, it just goes forever and ever 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 and ever.
I wish we had a bigger word than big. Big, bigger, biggest.
So I'm fascinated when I think about it and start visioning how far out in space you can go and go and go and go and go and go. So I'm curious, what's all that there for? If Source is so focused on the Earth life, do we also entertain physical experiences in all that other space?
Yes, there's a lot of that going on.
Is it human form? What we consider the human body form?
Well, there is nothing that you consider going on out there the way you consider it, because you're not out there considering it.
All right.
But those who are out there considering it are considering it, and they have the same questions about you. But there's a big thing that we like to say to all of you, no matter which galaxy we are flowing into. We like to say to all of you, mind your own business.
So are we experiencing physical in that vastness of space?
Yes. Be more specific in your question. We meaning who?
Do I go hang out somewhere else sometimes?
Not much.
Like
Not
some other planet, some other center of a galaxy?
We want to say to you that these questions come from those of you, and we mean this kindly, who are not really integrated and experiencing life the way you intended to here. In other words, it's sort of like, rather than cleaning up your own yard, you're looking over the fence at what they got going on over there. When there's so much potential in your own yard, but you're bored with your own yard. It's been sort of looking the way it's been looking for quite a long time, and it's no longer ringing your bells, and you've got all that resistance about it, and so sometimes you just are weary of looking at what you are about, so you want to look someplace else. We are not wanting to shrink your thoughts. We're not wanting you to be less insightful about the vastness of all of this. We just want to express in a way that you can really hear the satisfaction and the power of focus, of focusing on what you're about. And this is specifically for you. You get yourself into alignment and you get yourself into the receiving mode, as you often do and as you just did. And in that receiving mode, all kinds of things will flow to you about anything that is of interest to you, because there is no question that is off limits. And we are not for a moment wanting to say to you that you do not have the right or the interest or the ability or the eagerness or the value in focusing on all of those other things. We just want you to master the receptive mode, and then anything that occurs to you, you can begin to experience. In other words, we are focused through Esther from another dimension altogether, and you all have the ability to have this experience. And the way that Esther accomplished that was by focusing herself into a vibration that allowed that. And so we're not trying to talk you out of intertwining with what you can't see. In fact, that's our whole message here today. We're wanting to talk you into intertwining with what you can't see. If you will begin to accept these other galaxies, this vastness of space, as a vibrational reality that yes, you do have access to, but don't try to turn it into the physical before you have tuned yourself to the frequency of its non-physical. And once you are a master at tuning yourself to the frequency of its non-physical, then it or they, whatever you want to call that, can begin to express through you. And you can have the full experience of all of that. But stop looking around for little bones in the backyard that come from other spacecrafts, because that's not the way you are interacting intergalactically.
All right. I get it.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Really good.
Yeah.
Enough?
I got it.
Enough?
All right.